All right, so thank you all for joining today. We've started our recording. My name is Sarah Joshi. I'm a senior product manager with Microsoft Teams Engineering. I work with our education customers from around the world to help them get started using Teams. Today's session is an introduction session, Microsoft Teams for Education, specifically focused around staff and faculty collaboration scenarios. We also offer a ton of other webinar sessions around Teams for Education, including research and IT focused, as well as advanced learning and teaching. After the session, I'll be sending out links so you can check out our other webinars, and you can always register to learn more. So before we dive in, I'd love to give an overview of Microsoft Teams and some of the history behind Teams. So Teams is now the fastest growing app in Microsoft history. We have over 329,000 organizations around the world using Teams. Included in that number are many higher education as well as K through 12 education institutions who have been using Teams for Education. We now have 44 languages supported in Teams with users all around the world. It's been really exciting to see just how quickly and how much momentum we've had in terms of Teams adoption since we launched a little over a year and a half ago. So I'll give a quick overview of Microsoft Teams and the various features, and then we'll dive a bit deeper into our education features and do a series of demos and wrap up with some resources. So to give you an overview of Microsoft Teams, think about Teams as the hub for teamwork in Office 365. From a Microsoft perspective, we knew we needed to evolve the way we think about collaboration and productivity for the rapid collaboration style that has emerged in the workplace and also in education settings. And so we wanted to be able to bring all of the best of Office 365 into a single place. So instead of having to use all these different applications, which are very powerful in their own right, we really wanted to bring them all together into a single place so you'd be able to be productive, minimize context switching, and focus on the work you're trying to do rather than figuring out, oh, what tool should I use when? So there's 4 key parts of Teams that I'll review today. The first being communication. So obviously a cornerstone of collaboration is being able to communicate with the people you want to collaborate with. And so Teams is made up of 3 core pieces of communication. So chat, meetings, and calling. So with chat, you're able to do one-on-one chat or group chat, and this is persistent chat. So that means you can always recall back to that chat, search across it, add other people to the chat as well. Just a quick reminder, I'll just ask everyone to mute themselves as you join. So the chat piece is really awesome because it also becomes a workspace for you to be able to share files and quickly have a chat, which you can then either turn into an audio call or a video call if you need to. We also have a really rich meetings experience, which you'll see later as I do some of the demos, being able to do real-time meetups or scheduled meetings. Now, for those of you who are using Skype for Business today, some of this may sound familiar, and that's on purpose. So we've actually brought all of the Skype for Business functionality into Teams. And again, the idea is to bring all of that into a single place. So not only can you chat and call and have meetings like you can in Skype for Business, but you can also collaborate and have a workspace. And that's the next part, which is the collaboration features. So the core part of Teams is around collaboration in this teams and channels structure. So this allows you to actually create teams around organizations, or maybe it's projects, or in education context, this could be a class actually that you're looking to deliver. And you're able to organize your information, whether it's conversations or files or your apps that you use with your team. And again, it's all about bringing the people that you work with alongside your files and your conversations in an organized manner. If you think about teams and channels, if you think about your email inbox, you may wake up in the morning and have 1,000 different emails, and they're not organized in any way unless you have crazy rules running and they automatically go into folders, but that's all very advanced. Think about Teams as a way to automatically organize all of those conversations automatically. And so if you think about if I'm in a team and I have multiple different channels, you can route those conversations automatically, and you always have that context of what that conversation is about. So when we talk about collaboration, the first piece is our deep Office 365 integration. So we've deeply integrated with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, OneDrive, SharePoint, Planner, Forms, Power BI, and the list goes on and on. We've integrated with all of our Microsoft Office 365 applications, again, to bring everything together into a single workspace. This allows you to share files, have conversations around files, be able to visualize rich data using Power BI, all of the tools you may already be using within Office 365, but again, organizing them into an organization or a team structure. It wasn't enough, though, for us to only integrate with Office 365 apps. We opened up the ecosystem to third-party developers to be able to develop any apps that they'd like on top of the ecosystem. Because of that, we've got tools like SurveyMonkey and Trello and Poly, and some really powerful integrations there, including a very rich set of education-specific apps. We also have a concept of line of business applications. So using the same APIs that developers like SurveyMonkey or Trello are using to build apps on top of Teams, you can also build your own apps within your own organization. So if your organization is looking at chatbots for student interaction or IT support, or maybe you're looking at chatbots for student support in a course format, or maybe you have an intranet that you want to bring front and center into this collaboration experience, you can do that using Teams. And then finally, if I have any IT pros in the call today, you can work with confidence knowing that Teams is part of Office 365 and from Microsoft. So it comes with the enterprise level security, compliance, and manageability features that you would expect from a Microsoft product. Coming under this specific set of security and compliance features is a really awesome feature called Secure Guest Access. So this actually allows you to invite people from outside your organization to collaborate with you on a team. So this is different than just inviting them to a meeting and they join. They're actually a team member. So we see this being used a lot in the education space, whether it's in a university setting for research collaboration, being able to do research with an industry or with multiple universities, or just being able to collaborate with teachers, for instance, outside of your immediate district who may, you may want to exchange best practices or exchange curriculum. So that secure guest access feature is a really awesome one. So now onto the good stuff. Not that all of that stuff wasn't good. It's all very exciting in terms of the core features of Teams. But what I'm most excited about is that Teams is designed for education. We actually have 2 entire engineering teams within the Teams engineering team that focus on building education experiences and features within Teams. And people like myself who focus on working with our education customers as well as education partners. And so this is really cool because from the beginning, we actually designed Teams for education, not the other way around, which may be the case with some other more traditional products. And so when we say design for education, this means that we've actually built different features of Teams around what we consider learning or education collaboration scenarios. And you'll see this in action in a little bit in the demo portion. And so there's 4 different team types that you get as part of an Office 365 education customer. Our enterprise customers do not get this. They only have 1 option and they don't get the features I'm about to talk about. So the first is a class team where you can build collaborative classrooms, whether it's in-person, blended learning, or an online or remote learning environment, to really bring together teachers or faculty and students to engage in modern learning. We also have a concept called a PLC, which is a professional learning community, which allows you to bring together teachers to collaborate on curriculum or best practices. This one is taken off like wildfire, especially in the K-12 space, because of secure guest access. So if I'm a history teacher in one region, I can invite history teachers from another region to collaborate with me, and we can share cool handouts or different curriculum or test different strategies together. The third type is a staff team. You'll see that today, which allows you to securely collaborate around what we call a staff notebook, and you'll see that in action in a bit. And then finally, we have an anyone team type, which is just a generic team. We see that being used a lot for student groups or planning events or research collaboration in a university setting. So we have many different case studies, and after the session, you'll receive an email with links to a lot of these different resources. But one case study is from UNSW in Australia. We have an engineering professor, Dr. David Kellerman, who's been using Teams in his courses for his large, very challenging and technical engineering courses. And he's seen incredible results using Teams. He's seen a significant increase, actually a 900% increase in student engagement. His exam pass rate increased from 65% to 85%. And my favorite, 100% of students agreed that they felt part of the learning community. And all this has to do with using Teams as a platform to really foster that collaboration and build that learning community. So previously, as a professor or the TAs would answer questions if students would email them or message them through different platforms, and it would be a one-on-one interaction. With Teams, students can post questions, and maybe some other students don't feel as confident to ask that question. With Teams, that student can just like that question, and all the students benefit from one person asking a question versus that one-on-one conversation. It now becomes a group conversation and everyone can benefit that learning. So really, really awesome results here. We actually have a really awesome case study video that I'll also share as part of the follow-up resources that I encourage all of you to watch. Teams is available on all of your devices, so I'd love to invite all of you, if you haven't already downloaded Teams onto your PC or Mac, go to teams.microsoft.com and you can do that. And also download it on your phone, so if you have an iPhone or an Android device, you can download Teams. I use Teams on my phone all of the time. I'm currently based out of Bangalore, India. And if any of you are familiar with Bangalore, it's actually the worst traffic city in all of India. And I spend 90 minutes each way going to and from the airport 2 or 3 times a week. And so previously, before Teams, it would have been sort of dead time. I can't really open up my laptop and do email. But with Teams, I'm connected to my team. I'm a guest on a lot of different tenants of customers I work with. I can do meetings, I can have chats, I can read files, I can be part of conversations without physically needing to be in the office. So it's really, really incredible to be able to use Teams across all of your devices and be productive on all of your devices, especially on mobile. We also have a browser version. You'll see that in my demos today. Work on Edge, Chrome, and Firefox. So I'll be demoing out of Edge today. So with that, if you want to go to aka.ms/getteams, or you can go to teams.microsoft.com. If you'd like to follow along with the interactive demos, please feel free to do that. So there are 3 main scenarios I'll cover today. The first being learning and teaching, then research, as well as staff collaboration. There's hundreds of other ways you can use Teams, but these are the 3 that I will focus on for the session today. With that, I'm just going to switch my screen quickly and go into Teams. All right, so you should see my screen now. I've got Teams fired up in Edge. And so I'll focus on 3 teams today. As I mentioned, I've got an entrepreneurship course, so this is a class team, School of Business, which is a staff team, and then venture capital research, which is an anyone team type. So just to go over teams at a high level, here I've got my app bar where I've got an activity feed. This is my to-do list. This is how I manage my day, and this is where I get all of my relevant notifications. I can also filter notifications. If I only want to see what's on red, I can do that as well. This is how I personally manage my day. We've got chat, which allows me to do one-on-one chat or group chat, or even video calling or audio calling directly in the Teams client here. We've got Teams, where I'll spend the bulk of the time today, and a few other apps like meetings. Your Exchange calendar, your Outlook calendar will show up here. You can do calls if you want to call people, see all of your files, and assignments will come back to. So I'll spend the bulk of the time on Teams today. So the first part of Teams is creating a team or joining a team. So as Teams for Education customers, you will get 4 different options for what team type you'd like to create. So in this scenario, I'm actually going to create a class team first. And so here I can name the class team. Let's call it History 101. Now, one really cool feature that we released fairly recently is the ability to create a team using an existing team as a template. So this actually allows you to copy and paste a team. So if you're an educator, let's say you're a history teacher, or maybe you're a professor at a university, you want to save time. You really don't want to do a lot of admin work. You want to spend time teaching and doing research and interacting with your students. You don't want to spend time with overhead. So this feature of Teams allows you to just create a team once and then copy it over and over again. So obviously, if I teach History 101, I'm going to teach that every term. The students are just going to change. The content will generally stay the same. And so I can actually create a team using a team as a template. So here I'm actually going to use my entrepreneurship course as a template. I'm going to click choose team. And so here I have the ability to rename the team. I can choose what channels, tabs, team settings, and apps I want to bring into that team. I can also bring in the same members if for some reason I'd like to do that. But what's really awesome about this feature is that instead of having to create a team over and over again each term, I can just copy and paste it over and over again. Now, for my IT pros on the webinar today, this can all be automated through Graph API or PowerShell. So you don't ever actually have to create a team physically. You can actually orchestrate it all automatically through Graph API or PowerShell if you want to create teams automatically for all of the courses. So here you can see I've already created a few teams. And when I say teams, these are my teams. And I'm just going to quickly collapse these here. So here I've got my entrepreneurship course, I've got School of Business, and I've got Venture Capital Research. These are my favorite teams. I can always drag and drop and reorder these if I'd like to. If I click on more, you can see I have so many teams I'm a part of, and this is our demo tenant here. But these are ones that I don't really need to pay attention to, so I've unfavorited those. So let's focus on this entrepreneurship course. You can see here under the team, which is this entrepreneurship course, I have a bunch of different channels. And so you can think about channels as ways to organize information or organize conversations. In the class team context, one best practice that you could consider is to organize channels by modules. So if I'm teaching entrepreneurship, I've got a module around exit strategy, IPO process. I've also got a channel for office hours, and we're doing group work as part of this. So here, if I go to the general channel, you can see here that Teams is persistent. So I see the full history of all of the conversations related to the course. I can also search across this, search across all of my teams and all of my conversations. So if I just want to find something related to marketing, like I know we mentioned marketing in some lecture, if I search for marketing, it's actually going to pull up all messages related to marketing, all files related to marketing, and any people related to marketing as well. So again, Teams is all about being able to organize your information and your conversations into a single place. So here I've got all of my conversations. Again, let's say a student moves in the middle of the term or joins the class late, they can easily catch up and not feel like they're left out in the dark. The conversations area can also be used for students asking questions. So one student can ask, let's say, it's about exit strategy. So the student knows that they can go to the exit strategy channel and ask a question. So let's say, can anyone help me find a bit more information about how to think about exit strategy? And so here I can also mention, so if I want to tag someone, so let's say I want to tag the TA in this post. Or I can choose to tag the entire course if I want this to notify everyone. Obviously, use that with caution because everyone will see that message. And what's great here is that this is already organized, so I know it's a question about exit strategy. And if a student has the same question, they can simply like this message. So let's say 100 students like that same message. That just saved 100 emails or messages or knocks on the door. So it's just a lot simpler to be able to post a question and discuss that way. So going back to general here, so each channel comes with a bunch of different tabs at the top. In a class team, General comes with 2 special tabs, 1 class notebook and assignments, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So here we have files. So this is actually backed by SharePoint. So every time you share a file on Teams, it actually gets automatically uploaded to SharePoint. For those of you who are already using SharePoint, you can connect an existing SharePoint if you'd like. For those of you who are using other cloud providers for cloud storage, you can also connect other cloud storage providers if you want to bring in those files here. So you can see here I've got a ton of different files here. Students can always look at the most recent lecture or reference the course syllabus. I can even create files directly within Teams. So I can author Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents and then co-author it in real time. So here I'm going to create a Word document. So let's say this is going to be intro handout for the first day of class. So you can see here that it's actually going to create this Word document for me. And I can be building my handout. And what happens is my colleagues can even be co-authoring this in real time, or if I'm working as a group for a group project, I can be doing that here. I can add comments. But what's really cool is this is automatically saved. Version control is automatically taken care of there. But what's awesome is I can actually have a conversation in context of this file. And so you can see here that a conversation window pops up on the side. And let's say I want to ask my TA, can you help finish this handout? And so then Allison has the context of what is the handout. She already has access to the handout because everyone on the team has access to the file. And I don't have to send it an email. I don't have to worry about attachment size. It just all gets taken care of automatically as part of that files function. I can also pin files as a tab. So let's say this course syllabus is something I want everyone to reference. I can click here and make this a tab. And so I've already done that here. So if I click on the course syllabus tab, you can see that it opens up here as a tab. So I can always quickly reference the course syllabus and any other important information here. So I mentioned there's 2 special tabs that come with every class team. The first is Class Notebook. So Class Notebook is a version of OneNote. And for those of you who have been using OneNote Class Notebook, that's amazing because it's fully integrated into Teams. And so what's really awesome is that Class Notebook allows you to have a collaboration space for your class, a standard content library, as well as a section for each student. So each student has their own section that only the teacher or professor and then that individual student can see. So as a professor, I can see every single student's page. Forgive me, my mouse is frozen. I can see every student's page and section, but the other students can't see their work. And so this is a great way to be able to collect work, keep track of your students, but it's still efficient from an admin perspective where I don't have to look at 100 different handouts that have been printed out and handed in to me. It can all be done directly within Teams here. So you can see here as the professor, I can see everyone's section. But Adele, as a student, can only see Adele's section. And so here I can collect homework quizzes, handouts, class notes. If I want the whole class to collaborate on certain pieces, that they can do that in the collaboration space. But the beauty of this is that all of these sections are automatically created based on the membership of the team. And there's also ways to automate that as well. So we have a tool called School Data Sync. You could also use Graph API or PowerShell to automatically create a class team based on your student information system or your LMS, if that's a system of record. And rostering will automatically sync between your system of record and team. So what that means is if I have 100 students that enroll in this course, and if they drop or add the course, it'll automatically be reflected here, and it'll automatically be reflected here. So as a professor or a teacher, it saves you time. The other special feature that comes here is assignments. So assignments is a lightweight application that allows you to distribute and collect work from your students and also grade that work. And so what's really awesome is we have put together so many incredible new features related to assignments. So if I click on create, I can even create an assignment from an existing assignment. So let's say I'm teaching 3 different sections of this entrepreneurship course. I can just copy and paste if I only have to create the assignment once. Or I can even create a quiz, and this is integrated into Forms, which is part of Office 365. I can even do assessment directly within assignments now. So you can see here, I can see on a calendar view, all of what's due when, what's been turned in, what I still need to grade. And from a student perspective, perhaps more powerfully, I'm able to see all of my assignments on a timeline. Now I can also go to this assignments app on the left. And so this actually aggregates all of the assignments for all of the courses that I'm teaching, if I'm a teacher or professor, or if I'm a student, and I wish I had had this as a student, I can see a calendar view of what's due when. So I don't have to have a calendar or put it on my calendar manually. I can do it all here directly in here. So as the professor, as a teacher, I can quickly grade assignments and turn in work. So I'm going to scroll up and I can see here that as part of this course, there's a proposal that I need to grade. I can even assign a rubric if I want to grade off a rubric. And if I click review, I can see who's turned it in, I can grade it, and I can even turn back feedback. And again, if I click on this, I can see the assignment. I can quickly switch between students. I can send feedback, all again in a single place. And once I'm done grading, I can export it to Excel. If you will need to upload it into a system of record, you can do that here. So that's class notebook and assignments. There's the whole world, though, of all of the different apps within Teams. We have over 200 different third-party applications within Teams. And when you click Add tab, this starts to open up the world of Teams. So if I want to quickly create a survey for students to fill out, I can do that in Forms. Flipgrid is a really awesome app. It's actually a company that Microsoft acquired quite recently, which is a social learning platform. Students can respond to a prompt with a short video that they can even record on their phone. So definitely recommend you to check out all of these awesome applications within Teams. So if I go to the office hours channel, if you think about, this is a course that maybe students have the option to take the course online. Maybe it's not always in person. And so with office hours, when I was in university, I'd have to go stand outside the door of my professor and hope that they're there and line up behind all the other students. Now with Teams, you can actually do virtual office hours. So it saves you time. If you need to hold office hours, it saves you time so you don't have to travel into the office all of the time, but also saves student time. If they're working, if they can't come to campus for some reason, but they still have questions, they still want to get engaged, they can do that with office hours. So to be able to do that, you can actually just this little Meet Now button, this little video button down here. And so here, if you click Meet Now, and you're going to all see me in a minute. Hi, everyone. I'm going to say this is office hours Tuesday. Turn off my camera here. And I can meet now. I can also schedule this as a meeting if it needs to be recording. But what's really awesome about Teams meetings is that when I click Meet Now, the meeting spins up. And if I go back to the team here and I'm still in the meeting, all of the students are going to be notified that this meeting is happening. So you'll see that there's a little video icon that shows up here next to the channel. So students, even if they're on their phone, they'll be notified that office hours are happening and they can quickly jump in. I can see who's attended or who is in the call. I can see the icons here. And here students can ask their questions, even if they want to type their question or share a file or like someone else's question. I can share my screen here. And it's just a really easy way to democratize office hours where I don't have to line up outside. All the students will benefit from all of the questions. So that is a Teams meeting, just like the one you've joined today for the webinar. So the other way you can use Teams meetings, and this one is super powerful in a learning context, is actually the ability to create meetings for your lectures or live stream your lectures. So if I click Meet Now, Again, you're going to see me pop up in a minute. I can schedule a meeting if I want to have this be a recurring lecture. In this case, let's say this is lecture number 3, and I can click Meet Now. So again, same experience as I showed you before. Students will be notified that the lecture is starting. Let's say I want to actually tell my students that, remind them to join. I can even just reply to the lecture meeting invite itself and just @mention the students and remind them to join. So I can @mention the channel. And this is just a really, really powerful feature if you think about from a university perspective. Space and size may be a constraint. From a, sorry, again, if everyone can just please mute themselves. From a space constraint perspective, if I can only fit 300 students in my lecture hall, but I can offer it as an online option, I can do that here. From a K through 12 perspective, maybe there's a remote school or remote learning opportunity, or maybe there's a student that's sick, homesick for an extended period of time, or they're traveling, being able to bring them into that classroom experience. So here, obviously I can share my screen. Students can be asking questions and sharing content here. But the killer feature here is that I can record the meeting. So just like this webinar is being recorded through Teams, I'm recording this meeting here. So I'm recording this lecture. So if I'm sharing my screen, if I'm whiteboarding, I can be recording all of this, recording the audio. And so I do my lecture, the students that are in person, or maybe everyone's online, they all tune into the course, the lecture that day, and then I can stop the recording. So if I click stop recording, what's happening behind the scenes is this is being uploaded to Microsoft Stream, which is also part of Office 365. And what's really awesome is a transcript will be generated as part of this. So for language courses, maybe I'm taking Japanese, or maybe English is not my first language if that's the language of instruction. I can actually play back this lecture with captions in my language of choice. So that's a really, really powerful feature. And you can see here that once the lecture is done, I'll actually be able to play it back directly in here. All of this is posted to Stream, and so if I want to create a playlist, for instance, for my students to always be able to find their lectures easily, I can just add a Stream tab and reference all of that. And so being able to just quickly start up a Teams meeting, record it, and then that becomes a lecture asset. So if students miss the lecture, or if they want to rewatch it as they're revising for exams, that can be done all using Teams. And again, I'll say this is all part of Office 365. Everything I'm showing you today is part of an Office 365 subscription. Nothing else you need to add on. So you can see here that recording has showed up. I can play it here. I can even go to Stream and download it offline if I want to watch it later, if connectivity is an issue. So really, really awesome feature here. So that's the class team. Spent a lot of time here because there's a lot of interest from faculty members and teachers of how can you modernize that collaboration experience and bring everything into one place. For those of you who are using a learning management system, you can also connect your learning management system to a team quite easily because you can add any website as a tab. So you can always connect that if you want, again, have everything in a single place. So let's pretend that course page, I'm just going to have it be Bing. So here, if I press save, then my course page comes up as a tab within within Teams itself. And so again, it's all about having students be in a single place so they can spend more time learning and less time trying to click around and figure out what's located where. So again, going back to the join or create a team, I've shown you the class team. Next, I'll show you a staff team, and that's the School of Business. So the staff team, everything I've shared with you around meetings and recording, that all remains the same. There's a few other features I'll show you that work well in a staff collaboration scenario. So in this scenario, I'm part of the School of Business. I'm the Dean of the School of Business. So again, got my conversations. I can search across everything. I've got all of my files. And here I have something called a staff notebook. So this is similar to a class notebook, but a staff notebook comes with every staff team. So the staff notebook behaves very similarly, where every staff member who's part of the staff team gets their own section. So this can be used, let's say you're a school principal and you need to do classroom observations and give feedback to your teachers. This is a way to do this on a one-on-one basis, but it's still organized. So here I can give feedback to all of these teachers around their curriculum, their professional development, classroom observations, give lesson plan feedbacks. Again, it's organized for me as the principal or as the dean, if these are all my faculty members. But Allison, if Allison's a faculty member or a teacher, only Allison can see Allison's content. But it's a way to keep me organized as a staff member. Maybe you're on the IT team or the finance team at your university or your school. This can also just be used for performance feedback or just keeping track of notes and action items from one-on-ones. Just a simple way to collect all of that. So another tool that is integrated within Teams that's part of Office 365, if I click on Add a Tab, is Planner. So I'll show you Planner in Power BI. So Planner is a really awesome, lightweight tasking application to allow you to keep track of milestones or action items and keep your team organized. So here I've already created a tab for planning for this school year. And so here you can actually see I have a board. I can organize that board by different sections. So I've got curriculum, I've got scheduling. So here I can create a task. So let's say this is update timetables. I can assign a due date. So let's say it's next week. I can assign its people. So let's say it's Ellen that needs to take care of this. And then I can press assign or add task. Now it's really cool, and this is new within Planner within Teams. I can even add a checklist. So let's say science, math, business. And so I can even show this on the card. And so what happens here is now I can quickly even check off subtasks. And if I'm Ellen, I can also put in progress. So let's say it's in progress and I started it today and it's due on the 22nd. And so you can see here a little progress indicator will pop up. I can visualize all of this on a chart so I can see what's late, what's in progress. I can see by person what they're doing. So just holding people accountable. I can also see this on a schedule. So let's say you're planning an event or mapping out the school year. You can do this all very, very easily by mapping out these milestones and seeing progress and seeing how long everything takes. So that's Planner. So here I have an insights channel, and this is where we're tracking our different metrics and dashboards and graduation rates. Here I've got Power BI. So we're actually tracking retention metrics and graduation rates here. And so Power BI is part of Office 365 and it allows you to create really beautiful dashboards and data visualization without being a data scientist. And so here you'll see that I'm actually updating this in real time. So if it's connected to a data source, it'll actually update it in real time. And I can dive into the data. I can export the data from here. And again, the idea is that I haven't left Teams once this entire time. Everything is even being done in the browser. It's a really powerful platform to just organize your teams, organize your information. Here in this dashboard, I can even click in and hone in on data and it'll automatically update here. So really, really awesome feature. So then the final example is this venture capital research team. So if you remember when I clicked on join or create a team, there's the anyone team type. And so this is an example of the anyone team type, which doesn't come with any education features like class notebook or assignments. It's just a normal team for you to be able to collaborate with. So here I'm using this research team to organize grant applications and going through the grant process. This is a very simple scenario, but just being able to share files instead of at the 11th hour before a grant is due, just being able to work together, handle version control. We can be co-authoring documents at the same time, again, all in a single place. I can have my weekly research meeting with my researchers, and maybe I'm collaborating with another university here or an industry partner. That can all be done here. Again, I'm using Planner to keep track of all the different applications we're working on and the different milestones related to that, and also just to hold people accountable to make sure that they're doing what they say they're going to do. And so again, super simple example of being able to use Teams, but sometimes the most straightforward examples are really powerful, especially as we think about research collaboration where there's a ton of data going around, files are going around, and just being able to organize that and have that all in a single place is really powerful. The one feature I'll show here is guest access. So here, if I click on add members, I can obviously add people within my organization, but let's say that I want to invite an external researcher. So here, I'll just add my test email address here. And so here I can actually add this person as a guest. One best practice if you are adding guests, always click on this little pencil. This is your one shot to be able to edit this record. Otherwise, it's just going to show up as the alias, and it's hard to figure out who the people are. So let's say this is Sarah Joshi, and this is, I can even put the organization in parentheses, and I can press save, and then this person will be added as a guest. And so that means that, let's say I'm working with 3 different universities, everyone can collaborate together on this platform and share files, have meetings, have conversations. So it goes beyond just being able to invite a guest to a meeting. It's really true collaboration, regardless of whether or not that person's in your organization. So those are the 3 examples: an entrepreneurship course, School of Business, as well as the research. So these are the 3 core pieces that I wanted to review as part of the core Teams part. So just a quick time check, we've got about 15 minutes left. I will go over a few other features within the demo portion, and then I'll head back to resources and next steps. So I quickly flipped through before chat, but let me spend a little bit of more time here. For those of you who are using Skype for Business today, some of this may sound familiar, and again, that's on purpose. But there's some features of Teams that are super powerful that are a little different than how we think about chat in Skype for Business. And the first is that Teams is persistent. So I've mentioned this a few times. I can actually scroll up and see the full history of my conversation with Allison. And it becomes a workspace. I can share files. I can even see where she is on the org chart. We can quickly do a call or video. I can schedule a meeting. I can share files, again, all in a single place. But the difference is that this is persistent. So it's closer to a WhatsApp conversation or Facebook conversation where it's always there and I can search across it. So one of my favorite features of Teams is that you can actually create a group chat. And so here I've got this small group for Accounting 101, and you can name a group chat. So instead of just having a group of people, you can click this little pencil button and you can even change the name. And so here I'm actually using this to coordinate my Accounting 101 group, and I can see there are 6 participants here. So this is my favorite feature of Teams chat, and WhatsApp doesn't do this, is I can add people to the chat, but I can share the full chat history. So that person coming into that conversation has the full history of what's happened, what conversations have already happened, so they don't feel dumb or ask stupid questions when they enter that group. Like you might if you're in a real life conversation, you walk up to 3 people and you don't know what they're talking about. You don't know what they already decided. So here I can add someone to the chat. Let's say I'm going to add Marcy and include all the chat history. And so again, Marcy now is added to this chat and has the full chat history here. Actually, I think Marcy was already on that, so let me add a different person who's not Marcy so you guys can see this. Let's say Emmanuel. And again, so now Emmanuel is added to this chat, all the chat history is shared. We can do a quick audio call or video call. Or just share files, or if I want to share a fun GIF or create a meme, I can also do that here. We've got a meme generator within Teams, so if you want to have a little bit of fun, you can also do that here. If I just want to send a quick sticker, I can do that here as well. And people can like this, for instance. So the group chat features and being able to escalate that into a call or a video call, all of this is also on mobile. So as a student or as a professor or a teacher, you can be on the go and you can be doing all of this from your phone. You don't have to physically be sitting down at a computer, whether it's your laptop or your desktop, to be productive and get work done. So the final piece I'll show here is the store. So I mentioned we have over 200 applications directly within Teams, and that list is ever growing. So I definitely recommend taking a look at this, especially if you're already using any tools within your organization or within your classrooms. They may already be here on Teams. And if I click on education, I actually have a whole lot of education apps. And keep an eye on this because this list is ever growing. So we've got tools like Flipgrid, which I mentioned, or Lifelike, which is really awesome to see 3D models of anatomy or cells. So if you're teaching anatomy or biology, really, really cool stuff here. We've got tools like Quizlet, which allows you to create flashcards and games, or even tools like RSpace, which is for content management for research scenarios. So really, really awesome, rich applications, ranging from bots that you can interact with or tabs which bring in immersive experiences within Teams. So that concludes the demo portion. I'm going to flip back to the slides, but hopefully this was a helpful overview of the product hands-on, and it gave you some ideas of how you can use Teams in a learning, staff, or research context. So in terms of next steps, dive into Teams. Start using Teams today if you're not using Teams already. Really recommend just playing around and starting using Teams within your own organization. If you're an educator, start using it in your classroom. Check out use cases. We've got a great use case document, ak.ms/using Teams, or become an Office 365 champion. So we've got some really awesome different community engagement pieces there. After this session, you'll also receive a mail with a link to this recording. It'll take a little bit for it to process, and as well as all these links and other resources, including case studies and getting started guides for you to be able to get started with Teams. So with that, thank you everyone for joining today. I know we have people from all around the world really that have joined. We've got folks from Australia, we've got folks from South Africa, and everywhere in between. So I really, really appreciate all of you joining today. And